I used to have my identity in my knowledge of the industry that I've learned and grown up in, but that's not that great of a goal anymore.
Thank you to our sponsors of the Inside Story Hunters podcast. A big shout out to Chad Hill of Term Provider, home of Big Lou, Tiffany Wondros, CNR Services, Michael Valletta of Quick Cuts Media. Don't forget to subscribe at youtube.com, where you can follow our weekly episodes and get an automatic link to listen to our next guest sharing a part of their incredible inside story. So subscribe or listen on any podcast channel to your Inside Story Hunters podcast. Thanks for following us. Thanks for supporting us. Well, hello, insiders. This is Lori with a story. I'm so excited to be sitting next to my buddy, Andy Sneed, who I used to say president of Wasco, one of the top 10 masonry companies in Nashville. But I just learned that now you're the chairman. That's pretty fancy. I know you're all about the titles. So, I mean, how are you feeling now that you're the chairman?
Well, I'm feeling like I got to figure out what it is I'm supposed to do.
I know this is a big transition.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling? I mean, you've been the president for how many years? A long time.
Not really. I think 8 years, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So prior to being the president, what seat were you sitting in?
I was, from the date my dad passed away till then, I was Chief Operating Officer, COO.
Which is now Trey, your son.
Yeah, which is now Trey.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually my favorite position in the company, was COO.
And why would that be your favorite position?
Because I was so narrow, zoomed in on the people and the work being done in the field, and making sure the quality was in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I had great assistance, and we really focused on human resources, and we went around and tried to get our people to excel.
Wascovians.
That's exactly.
Where did the name Wascovians come from?
Well, I can't really pinpoint who brought it up, but we've always tried to get input from within the ranks of the Wasco family, and so somebody offered up that term when we were talking about being a family business and everybody feeling like a family member.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a member of the Wasco family, you work there, you're a Wascovian.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you started working. Have you ever worked in any other industry?
I have not. Never had another job other than, I think I laid brick to work off demerits during high school or something like that. But,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then you started child labor. I mean, 3 years old, was it? I think Trey or Adam, one of them, used to take them on the job sites, and they were laying bricks right?
Exactly. I tell people sometimes that I cursed them with the trade, but it's obviously been a blessing for them too.
Well, Adam is now the CEO. Yeah. Trey, your son, is COO.
That's
You've
right.
got nephew Brian Proctor,
Mm-hmm.
who is the president, and they're like peanut butter and jelly with an extra slice of bread. Like, they get along really well from all the years that I've been blessed to walk alongside you.
Exactly, and I'm blessed that it works that way. The two brothers are business partners, but they're also best friends, and it's just really neat to watch.
So the company's in great hands as you're slowly transitioning and figuring out what you want to be when you grow up.
I think it is. We could focus on the fact that we don't have college training that to fulfill the position of CEO or president or mm-hmm. COO or chairman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very confident that these young men know enough about the industry mm-hmm. that they'll do well.
Well, go back to human resources, how you care for people, and being a COO, right? I mean, everything about you is how that you can support someone, and you very openly share your own struggles.
Exactly.
And I don't know whether or not you want to elaborate, but you often share that the things that you've struggled with personally that could have stood in the way of you being able to be in the position you're in. Do you want to elaborate on that?
They did. Excuse me. And yeah, I don't mind sharing. It's all a part of what I am, and so I think a whole lot of people know I am a recovering addict, and I know what it was like to be caught up in that bondage, and I love seeing victory over those bondages.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been just kind of a part of what I do to try to help people to grow forward from being caught up by a vice, and it's very rewarding, and it doesn't. It's not 100%. It doesn't work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They may have to go somewhere else to find a deeper bottom or whatever, but it's still rewarding to be a part of it. I'm not the greatest sponsor in the world,
but you're just you.
Yeah.
You're just real. You're Andy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people in your organization right now have been with the company 20 years, 30 years, 15, 12, whatever the number might be, that were once addicts, and you gave them a shot, and they changed their lives?
Well, we don't keep up with that number, but I'm sure it could be a large number. But I think, also the art of the trade has just been very fulfilling to me, and I love seeing other people get that fire in their eyes or in their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, when we did our once-in-a-lifetime project, it's actually 2 projects at Vanderbilt University, really got to see a lot of people just getting a glow in their eyes over getting to work there and the pride they felt getting to build something as beautiful as that building was. So
it would take us months, no exaggeration, to talk about all of the places that you've touched in some way. Mm-hmm. I mean, the projects you've worked on. Do you have any favorites?
I've got, ones in my memory that, I don't have a particular favorite, but a lot of my historic restoration projects, things that I worked on and bid with my dad, sentimental type projects, the things that I did early in my career when I started the Knoxville branch office. Like, we took over the Thompson Bowling Arena when the bonding company fired a general contractor, and we teamed up with Bell Construction and took over that project, and that was one of my first East Tennessee jobs, and it was very challenging, but also very rewarding. So.
But let's go back a few minutes, which is really a few years, where once upon a time you told me 3 babies in diapers, and your wife Barbara, who is a saint and strong, and your life partner, but she let you take your kids when they were little to job sites. That's and used to just to pay the bills. So, right. I mean, I can imagine big projects, but what about the days when you were just having your kids with you, hanging out, and it is in their blood now. I mean, they're running the company. So, exactly. Tell us a little bit about that. What's the journey been like for you to grow into who you are today?
Yeah. Well, I was running the branch office, just starting the branch office in Knoxville, Tennessee, and so I was working out of town while Barbara was trying to keep 3 kids just out of diapers or whatever. And so when I had my moonlight projects on the weekend to make extra money to cover the fact that she was at home with the kids, the only way I was going to get to see them was to take them with me, and so I did.
And what did they do when they were with you? They didn't color or play with Legos.
They basically dipped their hands in the mortar and threw bricks around, kind of thing. So,
oh my God!
Yeah.
And she wasn't worried. They operated equipment. Oh my God! Yeah. I mean, and Barbara was great with this. Did she know? The question is, did Barbara know what you were doing with the kids when you were working these side jobs, making money?
I think she knew. She was probably a little frightened and concerned, but I think she saw that that was the way I could be connected with my kids and spend some time with them.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I didn't spend as much time with my dad, in my growing up times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you were a man on a mission to be a great dad.
Yeah.
And you are today, influencing and touching lives. And your father was incredibly successful, right?
Yes, he was.
So,
he was a really big entrepreneur. He had lots of businesses when he passed away. Surprisingly.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I sat down with you today to find that there's possibly another group of businesses that you're looking at or getting involved in and signing some NDAs. I mean, does it ever stop?
Well, I'm sure it'll stop at some point. But at the moment, I'm still trying to figure out what it is I'm going to do when I step aside from Wasco, and I don't want to retire. I got a term from a brother that I want to refire, and I want to play around with some things. So I've been looking into those.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got taught by my dad that you can make money in the industry we're in, but you might ought to invest it in other assets elsewhere for the downturns. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do to provide for Barbara and I's comfortable retirement and potentially have something to leave to kids and grandkids. So.
In this journey of owning a masonry company, being a part of a family that's owned and operated Wasco now 56 years, you've had some downturns. You've had some big ones.
Yes, we have.
And I still, every time I think about it and I share the story, I always lead with, the struggles and different things that you battled and you stood your ground on things. But in a construction company, what gave you the strength? How did you weather storms, many that you did? What would you say to someone now who's going to start a company? I mean, people are starting to realize that college isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's amazing opportunities in the construction industry right now, right?
There definitely is, yeah.
So take us through that journey of just, the difficult times. Everybody, if someone knew you now, you just came back from Florida and spending time, amazing life experiences with your grandkids. But what was it like in this journey, the struggles, and how did you just overcome it?
Well, I've been blessed to see several downturns and go through them from different viewpoints, different titles within the company, and then the last downturn, I was able to go through that as the president of the company and CEO. And I guess the advice would be always try your best to have something to fall back on. Don't stretch yourself too thin with credit and stuff like that, because it'll get the best of you.
You have a philosophy on that. Grow the company slow and steady.
I do, yeah. The years that we've grown fast were usually not profitable years. But our slow and steady growth has proven to be the way to maintain the most profits and not have up and down margins. So, but what's really helped me get through some of those times is my team. Our toughest time, we had pretty much what I called the prayer warriors that were praying to God that we would get through our tough time, and we did. He blessed us, and He blessed us richly in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, those were great maturing and learning experiences for me as well.
If you could go back and come through some of the chapters again, which ones, even if they were difficult, would you actually relive some of them?
Oh, I cherish the times that I spent. Maybe a whole lot closer to my Heavenly Father, it was like, the times that I had when I spent times with some loved ones that were sick, that were in their latter days. Those were the richest moments in our relationships. So, that was kind of a not so fun time for them, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, when you're able to let it all go and turn it over, then it's just a rich experience.
Amazing.
So,
is Dewey Green an amazing man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And C12, I know that's an important part of your life. Finding mentorship, support, safe haven of where you can unload things that, where you can't just go publicly sharing, right?
Right.
And get the support you need. But as he says, painful gifts.
Exactly.
Right? So, and walking alongside amazing men like you who are humble, that have gone through struggles, big ones. You just say the painful gifts are the best ones.
Exactly.
Why would you skip it, right?
That's right. And lots of learning experience and lots of my wife and I say that, when we made the list was when we were the happiest.
Mm-hmm.
When I was, doing those moonlight jobs and taking the kids to job sites with me, it was very memorable time for us.
You were telling me that neighbors used to sometimes maybe reach out to Barbara and say, "Did you know your kids are on the roof or doing crazy things?" Right?
Yeah. That I let them work around the house. We did quite a few remodels here and there, and so they were involved in those, and we operated the backhoe out in the yard together, and I think Adam went through the water line and things like that.
Oh my God!
But
and now here he is, the CEO of the company, and he is truly a perfect example of a serial entrepreneur. Young, smart, hungry, focused.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think he's going to take the company with Trey and Brian? Because as Wascovians, you do it as a family, and they keep everyone in mind. But where's he leading the path to, or taking people to?
I think that what he sees at the immediate is that sometime soon, maybe sooner or later, there will be an economic downturn.
Mm.
And he wants to be a good steward of our resources through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think during a downturn, the worst thing you can do is wait too long to make your cutbacks. And so our team's already talking about planning for that and trying to get the right pieces in place,
mm-hmm.
and a plan already there. And to me, that's being faithful to the stockholders,
mm-hmm.
And making sure that we'll have something that's sustainable. And so it just excites me to see.
Which you're one of the only companies, not only, but very few, keep your people employed all year long. Exactly. I mean, having a job with Wasco, you don't lay your people off for 60 days, 90 days, and they can bank on a career.
The core people, yeah. Obviously, our workloads go up and down, and we do have to lay off at times. But we probably keep a core of 200 to 250.
Amazing.
That one thing we do that I don't think a whole lot of contractors offer is we offer kind of a paid vacation that's measured by the hours that they got to work the previous year. And some employees are now seeing, hey, I've received a paid vacation for 6 or 7 years in a row. That means they gave me steady work all year long. You know? And for working outdoors and construction, that's a pretty tough thing to achieve. And but I think that's been an incentive for people that maybe wouldn't miss a time to go fishing instead of working or whatever.
Which you like to do.
Yeah.
It's, for me to get time with you, to be sitting here insiders with Andy, it usually has to revolve around fishing. And by the way, is a coffee cup on the table that has lots of, it's an educational piece.
That's right, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So fishing, water, being with Barbara, Florida, your grandkids. You just spend time with your grandkids, and, your family has lots of stories inside that is really, not so simple. But yet, construction, hard work, swinging, like, I shouldn't say hammers, but, laying the brick. Yeah. I mean, and then you're constantly expanding and looking for other revenue streams. So if somebody was 18 years old and they were interested in a construction company, to come to work at Wasco, what would it look like? What do you think you'd want to say to them? You sat down, I just introduced you, we'll call him Johnny. What would you tell them about Wasco?
Well, we always try to tell them that there's massive opportunities. The sky is the limit. And we let them know that we're going to work alongside them, offer them opportunity to train and grow, and give them the resources. Hopefully watch them carefully enough to evaluate them and reward them for when they do grow. Mm-hmm. And so that that's we have our training programs and our evaluations, and
used to be each one teach one that you started,
each one
right?
Teach one, yeah, and
now it's fancy.
Yeah,
it's MTI, right?
Masonry Training Institute is powered by Wasco. It's like taking a new step, and it's proving to be successful. Each one teach one was. That title came out of the fact that we're trying to motivate more and more of our employees to be mentors. Mm-hmm. And I have seen, it didn't catch on at first, but I've seen a lot of employees be rewarded by getting to see the people that they mentored be able to grow and start providing better for their families. And it's just a neat thing to get to see. I've always loved being involved in apprenticeship, and I helped write some apprenticeship textbooks and some things like that. But getting to see somebody pick up a trade and then feel the pride. I mean, when I did those moonlight jobs, you get finished and you wash the brickwork down, and you go, "Wow, I did that." And Barbara criticizes me when we have company to town, because sometimes I drive through town and I say, "Yeah, we built that, and we built that," and she thinks I'm bragging. But
you're proud.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, we could drive on Sneed Road, which is part of your family, right?
Yep, there's two of them, one in Davidson County, one in Williamson County, and both of them are relatives. The one in Davidson is a great-grandfather, William Bush Sneed, which we own his company called Bush Building Company.
Didn't you just reactivate that company?
And we are in the process of reactivating it right now. Started in 1901, and it has general contractor's license number 62.
Amazing.
So we're excited about that, and
And number 62 means, just in case an insider's listening, in the state of Tennessee, right?
In the state of Tennessee, they were given out in chronological order. Yeah,
wow.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. And how many licenses do you think there are now? Like 40,000? I don't even know.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But still. And that's really how Wasco started. It wasn't Wasco, right? It started as...
Wasco stands for the W.A. Sneed Company, which is my dad. He was working for his grandfather at Bush Building Company, and he didn't like the way that they were kind of stuck in their ways, would not invest in the more innovative new types of equipment or scaffolding or whatever. So he went and bought it himself and rented it to Bush Building Company.
Smart man.
And then Wasco started doing all kinds of other stuff like some footings or some concrete work or this or that or the other that kind of helped Bush Building Company, and it evolved like that until his uncle passed away and the family elected an outsider when it was really my dad's turn to step up and be president from being vice president. He didn't like that, so he moved his masonry department to Wasco.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you think Adam is a lot like your dad?
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things and bad things.
Well,
that he inherited. Yeah.
Meaning, if he sets his mind to something, it's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Trey too. And Brian, I mean, they're incredibly strong-minded, strong-willed, but the common denominator is loving on people, right? And it's back to preparing for the worst, or preparing for, hopefully, there is no worse, right? So, I mean, the idea of this transition for you, let's just walk through it for a few minutes. I mean, it's something you've been working on for a couple of years now, but it's real. I mean, it's happened. There's been a title change, and there's the sons have stepped up, and Brian and your nephew. And what is that like as someone who's been in a leadership role, and it's family, and your world is changing from a career standpoint, right? I mean, are you loving it? Are you seeing the freedom? I mean,
definitely seeing freedom. I'm kind of learning new things as I go. I'm more able to work kind of on the business instead of in the business, which I've been trying to do that for many, many years. And slowly but surely I'm working less and less in it and more on it. And so it's a neat place to be. And the coolest thing is, I get to mentor my own children and kinfolk. And, we're working hard to keep the culture that we think has made it work.
For sure.
And continue the legacy. And we just recently did a strategic planning where we, have a new mission and guiding principles, and they are a reflection of the ones that I think my dad wanted us to have. And so I think that's got us a good, strong foundation and guidelines for going forward for many years to come. Maybe another generation. Never can tell.
Well, and we hope many, many, which is a great segue into the question that I ask every guest. May you live to be 300 years old, and but the reality is all of us have our time that we leave this earth physically. And how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy, your footprint? How do you want folks to carry on Andy, spiritually and in thought?
Well, the one thing that I know about my grandfather and my great-grandfather is they inspired many other men. And the one thing I know about them is that they taught Sunday school. I've never done that yet, so that might be an aspiration of mine. Maybe not Sunday school, but something to that effect. I mean, I want to be remembered for, I guess, loving and caring for other people, doing to others as you know, as I we want to be done unto, and you know, I used to have my identity in my knowledge of the industry that I've learned and grown up in, but that's not that great of a goal anymore. And
that work doesn't define you.
yeah, hopefully work does not define me. It's a good way to put it. Having grandkids now, want to pour into them, and them to remember me for those times together, and what what's the saying? Train them up and let them go, so to speak.
You just sat and watched the sunset and did Bible study with your granddaughter, who's about to become a senior in high school. I mean, so to have that kind of time and that experience, invaluable.
Very, yeah.
Right? I mean, for your granddaughter, may she carry that on and repeat it. And that's how I would think it had to be amazing for her to have that kind of quality, just you, one-on-one, right?
So, yeah.
And then you were talking about your grandson and, your daughter and all the family members that you've created opportunity for them to have fun, right?
Yes, yeah.
Then there's that crazy thing that includes you constantly looking at new businesses and becoming partners and buying and acquiring even land or property or real estate opportunities.
Yeah.
You love it all.
Yeah, I do. And we, Barbara and I grew our assets through remodeling and flipping houses, and we didn't do it, like the flippers on TV or whatever. we remodeled it to enjoy it and live in it. Lived in it, 6 or 7 years, and then sold it and moved to something bigger, and we moved all the way up to the biggest, and now we're moving back to the smaller.
Yeah.
But
making money.
But that was fun, yeah. And it wasn't gigantic windfalls, but it was consistent growing assets.
Your reputation, Wasco's reputation, is stellar. I know this. I don't just say this just to say it. But when people know Wasco, they have the most amazing things to say. Yeah. Your reputation is unbelievable. And what do you think attributes to that? That people, because there's been opportunities where jobs didn't go well, but yet the reputation, even if on a job, you've told me about jobs that things didn't go well, yet you were able to come through that with flying colors. So how do you maintain that kind of reputation?
Well, when we went through our TQM process, which my dad facilitated in the 90s, we had been doing work that we were not exactly proud of, and came up with a term that somebody called it dirt fit. Do it right the first time. And so
I love that quote.
Yeah, we started
dirt fit.
Dirt fit.
That's good.
I don't know that you really pronounce do it right the first time that way, but I think that's what we've tried to do. And one of the previous chief operations guys told me that in the construction business, if you could do what you say you're going to do, then you could get all the business you want. And in the construction industry, it's really hard to actually perform the way you said you would. And
why would you say that? I mean,
there's just so many things happening that can make a liar out of you, So,
meaning other moving parts, other subcontractors. They're because you gotta make friends.
Yeah.
The electrician and the carpenters and the whoever else, right?
And nothing else, Mother Nature. So, the weather, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been But still, our greatest asset is our people. We've been so blessed to have had great craftsmen on our team and families of craftsmen. May not see it quite like we used to, but there was times we had 3 generations on the payroll from the same family, and somehow or another they had the desire to do it right the first time and to care about building a building we can be proud of, and I guess that's how the reputation has grown. So I got to give credit to the people.
Well, Wascovians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still rooting for the shirts and the hats, and want to be a Wascovian, ask us how, right? But it's really, you should be proud.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Country Music Hall of Fame? There's big venues that people travel all around the world now to come to Nashville because of these, the Music City.
Mm-hmm.
But places like that, you've been a part of these projects.
Exactly. Yeah. My grandfather many times has, shown me things that he worked on. Like he set stone on the LNC Tower, which was considered one of the first modern high-rises at the times in Nashville.
That's changed.
Like now it's like the oldest.
Exactly.
in Nashville. But anyway, yeah.
So the next year or two, you'll just be looking at other businesses, purchasing other businesses, partnering. What about your ministry work? We should talk more about that. You really. I wanted to. Insiders, you should know that it was maybe a Friday night. I called you. We had you didn't know a gentleman that I did, and he was a former client, and a good friend, and he reached out and fallen on very difficult times.
Mm-hmm.
And some choices he had made, some actions, were not so positive, and he was in great need and really needed help. And there wasn't a lot of people, knowing his story, that were lining up. I'll never forget, I knew that I could reach out to you, and based on some of the struggles this man was facing. And you said to me, give me his phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that you ended up spending Saturday morning with him. And that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe your own struggles, that you reach out and you want to help people, but minister, being there to counsel and minister and be available to people. Is this a big part of your future? Because it sure is who you are now.
Well, I think it'll have to be. I've learned through the process that you can't keep it if you don't give it away.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so rewarding just to be able to stand alongside somebody and help them. And I've had so many people stand alongside me and support me.
Mm-hmm.
And my network of people that I'm accountable to now. I don't know what I would do without them.
C12.
C12 is one. My CLC group, which the commitment ended 12 years ago, but we're still together 13 years later.
And that's a group of men that meet?
Yeah, that's a group of men that started with a 2-year commitment to learn how to lead for Christ. And now we just became so tight, we've stayed together, and we still meet once a week, and we're studying different books and talking about life together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone through some cancers and some things like that together, and supported each other. And it's been good.
Unveiling the inside story for you, Andy, a big part of it is not for me to put the words in your mouth, but I think that at times I just naturally will throw out the 1, 2, 3 questions because I want to wake up. There's so much that lies within you. Mm-hmm. You can influence people, and you have. You know it. When you see the young 22-year-old that's working on a job site, I bet you could pinpoint who he is, how he works, whether he's the difference between someone who's going to take this job serious and grow or someone who isn't. Am I right?
Yeah.
You see people for who they are, and you believe in them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's today. I'm hopeful for others to see what I know about you, which is the fact that you don't want to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did. You know, your story is one that you just want to live. You just want to be Andy.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But your life is purposeful. It has been, and at times more
Thank
purposeful. You. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And you have. I'll never forget when we first met. We were in Accelerant. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but it was early on, and I was petrified to become a partner. I started with my team doing administrative work, helping the back of the house of the organization, because Laura at the time, who was really like the regional event manager, was diagnosed with cancer. And some of the leaders at Accelerant reached out, and they needed some admin help. And long story short, as time went on, partners like you saw value in me. You appreciated my work, and you helped me find who I am. And I'm Lori with the story, you know, whether people like the stories or not, it's who I am, you know, and it's being a caretaker for others. But when we met, we were sitting together and we got to know each other, and you reached out to me because I was supporting some of the clients and some of the other partners in Accelerant. But I became a partner. They said, the partners are using your services, Lori, and you're making a big difference, and we need you to be a partner. And I was petrified. I thought, I don't belong at the table. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Financially, my business isn't big enough. I was so intimidated. But I remember meeting you. And little by little, we were interacting through some of the other partners. And you called one day and just said, so what do you do? And can you help me with some things and business development? And you gave me the gift of journeying with you and walking alongside you that I grew up. And you were a big part of really influencing me to find who I am. And I'm proud of it. And I don't hesitate to sit at any table at this point, because if I were uncomfortable at that table, it's probably not my people. And it's okay. And I've learned to just allow it to just be myself, just be humble with it. So I thank you for it. Seeing me.
Yeah.
And you do it with a lot of people, construction and all, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't judge. You want to see the best in people. So may you always just continue to do that.
Thank you. That sounds like a good plan.
So today was really an opportunity for the insiders to learn more about you, Wasco. And I'm a big advocate that there are people that don't know how unbelievable it is to work at Wasco. And I don't just say that because you're a friend and a client, but it's because of what people say. If you walked into your building and asked half the Wascovians how they feel about work, I've gone to your employee, your appreciation events. You feed them, you give them boots. They get to line up and get new boots, and you give awards, and you honor people and tell them all about what's happening in the business. I mean, you're always looking for ways to say thank you to your people.
Yeah. A friend of mine that was in the recovery programs with me, he saw in me this desire that I have to mentor people. And he said, hey, you just need to meet this one guy that has this ministry. And introduced me to Oni Kirk. And I'm kind of making a plug for his ministry, but I'm more of just talk about this. He runs the Family Foundation Fund, which ministers to fatherless young men and helps them, come through adolescence into adulthood. And I got involved with that ministry based on this one friend introducing me. And then as Barbara saw it, she said, hey, you need to be a surrogate dad, which is a position within that ministry. And I had such a great, rewarding experience there being a surrogate dad to a young man. But I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm really saying it because the plague of fatherlessness is so great within our nation. And, like at Wasco, I care about seeing people come out of the bondages of addictions and things, or having been incarcerated or something like that. I also, feel like people that didn't grow up, they might have grown up with an absentee father.
My sons.
Yeah. Or they're victims of a divorce or something like that. So I think it's a plague, and there's great opportunity for people to help the people that kind of missed out on that.
Yes.
So,
and something you're still a surrogate father involved?
My surrogate son is now 29.
Wow.
He's an attorney. He was unbelievably successful, and I'm grateful for it. And he did a whole lot for me in my growth. The taking on that commitment was I think maybe better for me than it was for him.
Well,
so.
Thank you for being that kind of man. So, life throws us some challenges that, you sure don't want your, people to have to go through. But, I've been a mom and a dad for almost 10 years now, and having two sons that are, my oldest is, graduating from college, and from Auburn. I mean, my sons are rock stars, and I will tell you. Yeah, and I say thank you. This morning I was thanking God. I do it often. Just the fact that I actually felt comfortable to say I kicked butt and I really did a great job. But really, I give so much of it to the men that I was smart enough to make sure they were surrounded by. And it's men like you that stepped up to help support. And there's women, right? Mm-hmm. Women. There's, I unfortunately, don't have a great, mother-daughter story, so I, through my own life experience, can feel the pain for my sons of having a father not present in their life. But it is people that step up and provide. And so that organization, thank God it's available.
Yeah.
And we should reach out, right? And we need to surround ourselves personally, and we are who we hang out with, and we can make a difference. And you're mentoring. So I think that's really, maybe stop buying 10 companies and just keep focusing on that, right? So that we can have lunch and visit, and it doesn't include, did I tell you about the garbage company or whatever that you bought? What was that, 4 years ago, I think?
Yeah.
That we were sitting there eating lunch, and you're like, and I was joking, and I said, buy any companies lately? You're like, as a matter of fact. And even today we're talking about it. So just keep doing God's work, right?
That sounds like
right.
It. Yeah.
And say we're on God's payroll, so we're held at a higher level of accountability. It's not an easy job.
It's all His, and we're just here to steward it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, well, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being with us today. And Insiders, Andy Sneed, Wasco Masonry, located in Nashville, but you're in other parts of the U.S. and in East Tennessee, Knoxville's exploding and growing. So we're just, it's a really cool story to check out Wasco. And if you have interest or family members that are looking for a career, maybe college isn't really for them, or they're going to college and they want to work in the construction world to have that trade, as you said, having something to fall back on.
Exactly. We are hiring, and we do have many opportunities available.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And Insiders, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe. Check out the information below. And if you're interested in getting to know my buddy Andy, you can always reach out to us at the Inside Story Hunters. So bye for now.
Bye-bye.